Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. We are back at surviving as a trader, surviving Mars, and today we are gonna build that ship that's gonna get us into space. So let's get started. All right, so as always, before we begin our shipbuilding process for today, let's go check out the economy base, make sure everything is refreshed or not, and start making some more cash or credits so we have more materials. I might be able to get away with making this ship with the materials I have currently, but I might be off a little bit in terms of maybe iron. But let's just buy all the iron ores. Almost did the wrong thing again. We'll buy 181 for iron ingot. That's a little bit pricey. Not gonna bother with that right now. I'm not gonna give nickel or silicon some attention for today, but we'll buy some more uranium. And we could sell things like ore detect. Let's just sell what we can except for the steel plates, so we get some funds out of it. Actually, doesn't matter because we just bought a whole bunch of iron anyways. All right, after selling everything, got 9 million back. Time to check acquisitions as always. All right, so let's get started with our building process now. So ship designing is, or at least small grid ship designing, is something I pretty much love to do in Space Engineers. Something I've done quite a lot of in this series too. I think we had like 2-3 different ships. One of them being this guy here that eventually is going to turn into somewhat of a drone system, where it doesn't have the cockpit up on the back. But I do want to make something somewhat similar. This one has a little bit of the beam blocks, or too much of it, and it looks a little bit Transformer-ish like, kind of. I mean, it works okay, but it's just a tad too much, I think. So we're going to work on a new ship, and that new ship is going to have hydrogen tanks, where we're going to use it to go into space. And I just realized I didn't even buy any hydrogen as I was just in the economy base. So let me do that really quick. All right, so we're back with getting all the hydrogen. All right, so with the hydrogen tank here, tank 2 nearly full 100%. So let's just do a quick stockpile to get that 100%. Makes life easier. So now that should have a full amount of hydrogen, 15 million liters there. And tank 3 is the second one that I'm working on, which is 54% complete of hydrogen. And the remaining probably don't have much. So this tank 3 back here, this one probably 4 and 5 or whatever the count is left. I should rename them. This one is tank 7. Okay, and it has 0.01 in there somehow. So that's what's gonna fill up our ship that we're gonna build and pretty much get into space. More importantly, I just want to get into space so I can go to a new economy base. Before we get any crazier than that, I feel like we need to add another kind of connector somewhere in the middle here. So we have a different a stretch here from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 to the next connector. So that works out. So then half of that would be roughly the 7th one. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and then that one, that would leave us with 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yep, 6 on each side. So we could throw one right here and turn that into a T shape with a connector. So we're gonna add that right over here. We're just gonna chop this one off. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say chop it off, but okay. We'll put the T right here, weld it up, and then we'll put the connector right in there as well. All right, now we got a working connector, and now we could go back and forth to collect stuff if anything. I'm likely gonna build the ship right off of this thing here, so let's just collect all that we can to start building a ship. So likely we're gonna need some steel plates, we're gonna need construction components, interior plates, a little bit of computers, some motors, a little bit of display, and I think that's it for now. And there's some specialty stuff that's going to use like small steel tubes and things like that. But yeah, we can come back. I'm just collecting the basic stuff. Since we have a bottom connector here, we can make a bottom connector ship, which is kind of the point with this helipad anyways, or landing pad. So all our ships will have this kind of like bottom connector for now. Eventually we could make a wall of connectors if necessary, but I think we're gonna work with this kind of connector here. And I like building it like this because it does make, you could just adjust it whatsoever so slightly. If you want to make it straight somehow, you could. So we could just shove it a little bit, but we don't need it to be completely straight here. It doesn't matter because it's just going to build out a little bit. As long as we're building this way lengthwise, I think we're fine. If we build it this way lengthwise, actually it wouldn't be too bad either because we're pretty far away. 6 blocks away is pretty significant. But anyways, let's get this thing, let's see, connector into our, let's name this to the HS for hydrogen ship. So connector high school. Anyways, all right, so let's lock this in place. So now the ship is part of the grid, and if we have a battery, we could charge up and blah blah blah. Okay, so from here we should build a ship. I have a bit of an idea of how to build it, but if we are going to use this to travel around, maybe use a large connector for this. I kind of don't want to use a connector directly to a cargo container, because if I break the connector, it potentially breaks the cargo. Potentially. So if we added something like, say, not something this big, like another conveyor junction, but if we added maybe a conveyor converter or conveyor sorter, or even a conveyor frame, that can help a little bit, just a tiny bit. I think I'm just gonna do that for now. It's really unnecessary, obviously, but just kind of an idea here. And to reduce jetpack situation, I'm just gonna build a little bit of a scaffolding ramp. But here is the cargo container. So the cargo container, large cargo container at least, for a small grid ship, it does have the small ports, 3 of them. So I'm probably gonna leave it on the left, right, and top perspective for it, or should I not? Yeah, I'll leave it as that for now. I don't see a reason for me to need it to be on the sides. Okay, so that is our ship. We're done. We would be done because we are not even lined up correctly. All right, so joking aside, we're just gonna have to put the cargo container right there with the 3 small ports. I want to say, yeah, top, left, and right in this case, and make sure we line it up properly this time. Yeah, we got lined up properly. Okay, so that is the core of a ship, right? I'm thinking of adding our large hydrogen tanks, and I'm thinking of adding 2 of them if we're gonna go that route. I don't think we need 2. 1 should be more than enough, but just in case, why not add 2? So one way of doing this would be added here, right? But that would look okay and decent. But I'm thinking of adding 1 right here, kind of dangled on the side, and 1 right here dangled on the side. So I'm gonna do that instead. But we're gonna connect it, and of course we're gonna connect it with the small ports here, the small conveyors, so we can transfer 1 hydrogen into another hydrogen tank if necessary. Although we won't be able to transfer large items from here to the hydrogen tank. But the hydrogen tank's not gonna have any ports exposed for us to do anything like that anyway, so we should be fine. Okay, so I'm thinking of something along the lines of this. Trying to snake it out a little bit towards the side. Just a tad. I think this is long enough in terms of where I wanted it to be. And then we want the hydrogen tank, the large one, to be lined up into that port, the small port right over there. This might be a little bit further than I would prefer it. Just a tad. So I think we want to get it kind of closer. So let's do it this way. So 1, 2, and 1, 2. So 3 difference away. I think that'll work. And then we'll just add the hydrogen tank right there. So that should do it right there. So that's kind of like the rear of the ship. Okay, that could work. Maybe 2 spacing would be better, but I'm going to leave it as that for now because I am going to add some atmosphere thrusters on here so we get the flight when there's atmosphere. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2 is what we have going on. And then this will be our other hydrogen tank. Hopefully that's lined up. And it is. Okay, so that is how we want this to be. And obviously we didn't have to do it this way. We could just line it up L shape wise and connect it. So we still might do that actually, because it would make more sense. I'm gonna do that right this moment. Not sure why I decided to stagger it that way, but it did look better that way. There's really no point because we are gonna stuff some things in here just so we have that ability to put stuff in between. So we might not need these. I'm gonna leave it here for now, but we're definitely not gonna need them. So let's just put that L shape going here, and we're good. Let's weld up the tanks next. All right, here we go. Okay, so kind of the idea is putting the hydrogen thrusters, one here, large one in the back, one large one in the front, on both sides, obviously. And then we got to work on the rear ones. So the rear one, that's going to be more tricky, but not the rear. The bottom ones and the side ones going to be a little more tricky, but we could work with small ones if we need to. I think we can go the route of a large one, but small ones could work pretty well. So we can always deal with that. So this is pretty much the main innards of the ship. We could kind of put the thrusters on now. So there's 2 choices, the original one or the more industrial one. I do like the industrial one, but I think in some ways they're a little bit longer. So here's the original one. And here's the industrial one, which is about 1 block longer. So it would look nice to have that. But do we want it to be longer? Against the rear one, we could do that. So this is the difference, basically. Right there. It looks great with the original one, and it looks great with the long one. So I don't know. Let's just choose the industrial one this time around, and we can just do it right there. And the great thing about this is that they do have the little ports on each side. So we could add more of the smaller thrusters if we need to. The small thrusters are pretty much the same when it comes to the length of it. Let me turn these off so we don't waste any hydrogen. Let's see here. So if we look at the industrial one once again, but the small one, it's just 1 block. Right there. So that's the same as the original one. So that's fine. And I'm thinking if we are going to use side thrusting and everything like that, we could plop them on like this. Or several of them if we need to. So that should be okay. The only thing I don't like about this one, it doesn't seem like it's as wide as the original one. Look how big of a hole that is. Right there. It's a little bit, it looks a lot wider. It's not necessarily wider, but it looks a lot wider. And we could also plop something here, but we're not plopping that there. Okay, so that's the main portion. Actually, yeah, I'm not liking this. I am going to put the original thrusters here. They look a tad bit better. Okay, so I'm going to use the original thrusters because it just looks better to me for whatever reasons. And we can add the small ones along the sides. We're not going to do that just yet, but we will eventually. Now, we got to think of how we want to do this. Either we start plopping on the large thruster for forward thrust here, or we put some connecting points before we do that. Meaning a conveyor junction or something like that. Or a tube like this. So we could design around it. More so, it should be a conveyor junction. Something like that, if anything. And we can stick this one, and I would suggest doing it this way only because of the small ports that's going to be available as well. So if we did something like this, let's just say, then we could definitely tie on some smaller ports if we need to, or the smaller thrusters if we need to. And then we could tag on the large thrusting right over here. Like that. I think that would be the design I'm going to go with. And then I got to think of the cockpit. Which cockpit do I want to use? So, of course, we have several different cockpits, but we can do, since we're doing a small grid version, we could do the industrial cockpit just to look like this, something like this sticking out, which wouldn't look too bad. Or we do a fighter cockpit, which this ship is probably going to be a little bit big to be using the fighter cockpit. It will look kind of weird. I think I'm going to go with the industrial cockpit and connect it with the O2H2 generator or something like that. So the O2H2 generator, we can throw it right in here like so, and then we'll throw in the cockpit right a little bit lower than that just to get it connected. So I think we need to add some blocks right here in order to do that. Should we do it that way? So if we did this, it'll be the cockpit will be slightly lower like that, and it'll connect into our O2H2 system. The other option is to put some more of these conveyor junctions going up, and we can cover things up that way. I think I might want to do it that way actually. So meaning we'll grab small conveyors here, and we could use some piping system like so if we need to, and throw in the cockpit. I think that would be better. I kind of like that version a tad more, and we could hide stuff right inside there as well. So we need to add a couple of blocks there just to get this to work. Right there. Okay, so we got a bit of a longer neck when it comes to this cockpit. But we could chop up what's in the middle, and everything should be connected from there. Alright, so that's the innards of our ship. We got a little bit of a longer neck here, but we can always design it out, so it's not too bad. And we have nice big thrusting for our hydrogen, so that's great. We should weld these up actually. Okay, so let's just take a quick look on what that looks like. It's looking not too bad. Alright, so that's pretty much the shell of it. Just keep it skeleton-like if we really wanted to. But no, we're gonna put stuff in between so it doesn't show up like this all the time. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize this. With the cockpit animation, the doors are right over here in the windows. So when I jumped into it, it closed right over there. Sorry for the going in and out, but I didn't realize that. But that's a pretty cool animation, to be honest. Okay. Back to the building. So this is looking not too bad. It's actually starting to look like a ship that I've seen in Freelancer. Probably a little bit of inspiration from it. So yeah, in the back we could add more thrust if we want to. I don't think we do need that much thrust, but that's a possibility. What else we need here? We definitely need some gyroscopes and everything like that. So what's great about this build now is that we can actually hide a gyroscope right in here. So a gyroscope, which is usually not on my toolbar. Oh, it is. We could throw one like right in the middle, right over there if we want to. So let's just do that. And I think we just need one. I don't think we need multiple gyroscope for this build. If we do, then it's going to be a bit of a heavy build, which we should be a little bit careful about. And we really don't need a large cargo. I just want to bring a large cargo just in case. If you know, there's things we could lug around and sell and whatever. We could actually, with this build, the way it's designed and looking, we could just add another one. Although I probably don't want to do that. It's gonna be a little bit bulky, which is not exactly what I want. So we're gonna stick with that. We could add a medium one if we are wanting to go that route, but I think we should be okay. Alright, so in terms of upward thrust, side thrusting, and things like that, we could stick with small ones. If we want to go the route of using large ones, we still have the opportunity to do so. So it would be like this and down here, but it would look a bit ridiculous. So I probably won't do that. I mean, I could add it here and make it lengthier in terms of the tanks, and by adding another cargo container or conveyor junction, so we can add the side thrusting, up thrusting, everything like that in the back. But I really thinking with the small ones would be a little bit better. Plus, we'll likely be in a low gravity situation by the time we need to turn these on. So when I think of using the small ones, it's gonna line them up all like this on the sides if we have to, which wouldn't be that bad. So then we would have 4, 5 at least in terms of side thrusting, and that's gonna go on both sides. And then when it comes to up and down thrust, we can do the same exact thing. The only difference is that from here, we are gonna have to use a converter, which is a great block they added recently. So we can do the converter right here. We could do it this way, lining up this way, or line it up straight. I think we're just gonna line up straight. That makes a little bit more sense. Okay, some conveyors situated. And to be honest, it does ruin the look of it just a tiny bit. So I might rethink that, potentially. I think what would work great is the side thrust. So we can add all these side thrusts right over here. So we get 5 of them on each side, which is amazing. And potentially, we can add more if we need to. So if we did need more, we can add it right here, left and right, in the inside. Maybe same here, but I think we need to be 7 blocks away, which we are not. We are only 4 blocks away. So that will toast our system. Okay, so the up and down thrust, that's where I'm a little thrown off by this. I would prefer... Oop, I double clicked it. I would prefer that to be in the back, if that was the case. So then that way, it wouldn't look as bulky in the front. So I'm not too sure how I want to do the up and down thrust right this moment, but the side thrusting looks decent. Or maybe we add the side thrusting with this thing on one side. I think that actually might look a little better. Okay, so I think that we might have to do it that way. So we're gonna have to toast out, or remove these here. And instead of doing it that way, we could do it this way, where the top and the bottom has the small ports. I think actually that would be better. So this way we could connect 5 on each side of the thrusting, and then a side thrusting, we just need to do 1 set of converters right over here, and it lines up with that one right here too. So that isn't too bad. So it wouldn't look as bulky. So I think that would be the better bet at this moment. But I guess we'll find out as we put it all together. So here we'll put those down. And what's interesting is that we could add even more, because there's this converter right here. Because the converter has 1 extra port on the bottom. So we could do it that way. But I'm probably going to design it out over there. So not add that just yet. Here we can add a small conveyor junction if we need to. We definitely don't need it, but just to line it all up, we could do something like that. And this one could do the same thing. That's only if we want to continue to line everything up, and we could. It's not a problem lining it up that way. And then here we probably need to... Nope. This one we can line up as is. Like that. And I think that actually would kind of work out. Yeah, I think so. That would work out pretty well. Okay. So, same thing up top. We just throw in a whole bunch of them here. And like I said, we can add one here too. We're not gonna add it here, but we're gonna add one there. Okay, perfect. So let's just do that on both sides, and then we'll weld up everything. Alright, so this ship is all situated, and yeah, it's got all 100 thrust, and I did say I was going to add some atmospheric thrusters. Kind of doubting that at this point. But we still can. Alright, so in the back, what we can do is actually add an oxygen tank. We have an O2H2 system, which is fine, but I think adding an oxygen tank would be a little bit helpful as well. So we can add it right back here. Here we go. And we can stockpile it as well. And it looks nice as an exterior piece in the back too. But we're probably not going to keep it as exterior. But it would look nice. And it steers clear away from this. So I could put a thruster here if I really, really wanted to. Okay. So of course we need other things like batteries and things like that. So a battery, I think... we're gonna need a few on the side, if anything. And we could do uranium or reactor as well, a small one, and plug it in somewhere. So it looks like not much places we could plug it in right this moment, but we will find some place to do it. Battery wise, we could connect it kind of against this here, I think, or against this and design it out. So a battery, I think 2 would be enough if we add it like right over here, or we add it right over there. I think we're gonna add it right over here, and then we could kind of design it out a little bit. So yeah, let's just put it right here. And I have doubts of that, but it should be okay. Right there. We'll add it there. Yeah, that should be okay. And here's where we could put the reactor. So we could do 2 if we wanted to. And we can hide it kind of too. So let's put another block here just in case. And we'll put the reactor, which we should have in our toolbar somewhere, but I doubt it. Here is the reactor. This reactor or the original reactor? Let's put this one. There's a bit on the hidden side, and it's going to connect to the battery. So we're going to put it this way. Make sure the port's on the right spot. Yep, that's fine. Not sure if we even have the mats for it all, but we'll see. And it looks like we do. Alright, so small reactor here. It looks like it just picked up some uranium as well, so that's not too bad. And we're just going to weld up this battery and the other battery as well, so then it can get charged up. So that is what I'm thinking would be an ideal spot for 2 batteries and a reactor. Okay, we got 2 batteries. We got our reactor. We have hydrogen. We still need to do the exterior shell and potentially some atmospheric thrusting. So atmospheric thrusting, that's where the batteries are going to drain for the most part. Actually, we could have put it back here too, the batteries, if we move some of this stuff. But I'm liking the design as is. It's not too bad. In some ways. I think we can push this back some more, actually, but oh well. I'm okay with leaving it as is. If we're gonna do atmospheric thrusters, as we originally planned for, I honestly don't know where to put it. We could put a few upward thrusts like this in the back if we wanted to. That'll be more than significant for upward thrusting. The only thing is we're gonna have trouble with is putting stuff for forward and backward thrusts. That's my biggest downfall here. So I think if we wanted to, we'd add it like kind of right here for upward thrust. But where can we put our other thrusting? Like say forward and backward thrusts. I mean, we could add it. We can't add to the side. Kind of an afterthought, so that's a problem. Putting it here would look a little odd, but we could hang it out to the side if we need to. So we could do that. Forward thrust or backward thrust, yeah, we don't have any space for it either. We could use small ones and put them here, I think. Yeah, we could put some right here and here, but that's not going to slow us down enough. Do I just keep it as a hydrogen ship? Yeah, lots of ideas here, but actually, if I look at this correctly, I might be able to put one right over here. A large one. Yeah, perfectly right in here. Right in the middle of everything. So let's see what that looks like. Or maybe we drop it lower a bit if we need to. But no, this kind of works out. Let's do that. So the atmospheric thruster for upwards, that should be more than enough for this ship. And our forward and backwards, that's where we're going to run into a little bit of a problem. So we could do kind of we could make it look more like an afterthought as well. And kind of hang the remaining thrusters or atmospheric thrusters. In terms of hydrogen thrust, I think we have more than enough, so we should be okay. We have forward, backwards, up, down, left, and right. Yeah, it looks like we're fine in that department. We do have a lot more up and downs than we do left and right, obviously, because of the way it's lined up. Left and right only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where up and down has double that amount. So that's going to be a little interesting when it comes to side thrusting. So we'll figure that out if it becomes an issue. But yeah, I think having the atmospheric thrusters right over there, that works out. We're not going to need downwards because of atmosphere, but if we get upside down, then that's a problem. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But our when it comes to forwards and backwards, I feel like we should just elevate one a little bit as well. So we could do 2, or how many do we want here? Probably 2 to go forward and backwards, right? Yeah, and then that could happen, or just one. One might actually just be enough for this situation, but 2 would look probably a little bit better. So if we were to elevate it, we can elevate it right here, I think. And we could do like 2 of them over here. So maybe that's a good spot. So we could throw it on like this if we wanted to. It seems a little bit odd to put it out like that though. So or we extend, actually, you know what, since we have that little bit of a extension from the O2 system or the oxygen tank, we could just plug it on that. So we do have to extend it just a tiny bit. So we are going to lose the ports here, which is fine for now. We'll figure it out. And we just throw it in like that. So that's our forward thrusting, if anything. Which doesn't look too bad. Yeah, not too bad. Now, the worst part of all this is we got to figure out the backward thrusting and the side thrusting. And of course, side thrusting is always one of our biggest issues. So that's our large thrusting. Actually, that's not too bad. And I think with all these thrusting, we are going to need, or all this thrust, we are going to need a little bit of more battery power. So let me actually put a battery where our oxygen tank, I keep saying O2, which is kind of correct, but our oxygen tank could use a battery back here. So if we add a battery back here, that will be our support system for our atmospheric thrusters. And we could put it like this if we wanted to. No, or we just do it this way. I think we just do it this way. There you go. So then we have additional batteries for all the thrusting. So now, once again, I think we can kind of leave it like this. That's our atmospheric thrust. We have upwards, backwards, forwards. We don't have backwards, nor do we have side. So that's a situation that we're gonna have to situate as well. Side thrusting shouldn't be as significant of a problem, but it can be because these tanks stick out a little bit more than I would prefer it to. So side thrusting will be a problem unless we stick it back here. And we probably need a significant amount of side thrust. Yeah, so that's not ideal when it comes to the side thrusting issues. I need a backward thrust. That's another problem that we have as well. Backward thrust, I guess we could stick with smaller thrusters potentially. I don't know. I feel like using just small thrusters would be ideal here. This is becoming much larger than I was hoping for. But it's still working out okay. Alright, so let's figure out side thrusting and backward thrusting. So with the atmospheric thrusters. So we definitely could have snuck one in here actually, if that was the case. But with the upward thrust, that's the problem that we're having. So it's not gonna work out that way. And side thrusting is an issue too. So we need to do something with that. I mean, I'm kind of thinking if anything, we could design it like this, where it kind of hangs out on the side. We could do that up top if we had to do it that way. I'm kind of curious, maybe that is the way to go. But another thing is we have so much hydrogen that we could just leave it as a hydrogen ship. So I'm kind of inclined to just leave it as a hydrogen ship. And if we really need to, I'll keep the upward thrust for the ship itself, so it uses less hydrogen to hold it up. I think I'd rather do that instead. So instead of putting it here for our atmospheric thrusters, I would probably do it this way. And this will hold the weight up instead of having all these hydrogen, small hydrogens, hold it up. We have more than enough hydrogen to get into space by itself and even travel on its own. So shouldn't be a problem. And if it does become a problem, this can all go and turn into a tank. No problem at all. Let's stick with that plan for now. And we'll see how it turns out and see how we're gonna kind of design it from there. So if that is the case, now it's all about developing the skeleton part of it. But I think this whole thing should be more than functional. So if I were to stockpile this and this one, we can test it out for sure. And there's a chance we might have a problem here. So yeah, we're on stockpile and it's not getting anything off of these. Okay, so we have a problem where that is not connected properly to our main base, which I thought we were connected. Oh, there's our problem. Interesting problem to have. Okay, this hopefully this don't fall down. I don't think it will. Okay, I was expecting to kind of just drop for no apparent reason. We need to fix this T shape here. There we go. Now we should get the hydrogen. So the hydrogen is connected from here. So that's the reasoning why it wasn't getting anything, but it was getting materials. So bad plumbing job. So yeah, never said I was a good plumber. All right, so we should be connected now and start collecting. Yep. Looks like we got some on here. Not a lot. I don't know why I didn't collect all of it just yet. And this one is... No, it's not. Still not collecting properly. Why is that? I'm gonna switch lock. So I'm afraid this is gonna fall though. Nope, we're good. There we go. A little bit of a glitch in connection point because we started building off of it, maybe. Potentially. I just switch locked it and it's getting its hydrogen now. So that's not bad at all. Okay. That worked out. All right. So both tanks are completely filled. Our oxygen tank on here. We can stockpile this too if we even have a lot of oxygen. We probably don't have too much, but we'll stockpile roughly 50% for now. We don't necessarily need it. We have bottles, but we'll just do that for now. Okay. So from here, we do have the connector. We named it HS. So we can look for our connector right here. Put it in switch lock mode. And our thrusters, we need to kind of group up as well. These are hydrogen. Yeah, so these we can go HS thrusters, which they're off, which we're gonna have to turn on. I just heard like a little pop in my ear from that, because I think they're on. Yep, they are on. And we can unlock. If we unlock, we have 100% hydrogen, and we're not using too much hydrogen right this moment. Actually, we're not using any hydrogen because for some reason our hydrogen thrusters are still off. Oh, you know what? Because our tanks, tank 1 and 2, so I'm gonna do tank HS and HS. Now I don't know which one's left and right, so we're gonna name this one right. We don't necessarily need it to be named right or left, but we're just gonna do it anyways. Here we go. Okay, so I think we could have gotten away with throwing a hydrogen atmosphere thruster down over here. Maybe not a large one. Yeah, we could have done this. Potentially we could have done that if we really wanted to go that route, but we should be okay. I really think it's not necessary to do all that, because we could just toggle. Let's just say, for an example, let's get this group here, toggle on and off. Get the grouping. We don't have it grouped, but the tanks, the 2 tanks left and right. So this is the HS tanks. Let's do on-off stockpile, right? So let's turn off stockpile. Ooh, that popped in my ear. All right, so that's our hydrogen basically. So that's not too bad. It probably flies and wastes a lot of hydrogen, but it flies pretty quickly, I would think. Yeah, it's pretty quick when it comes to it, and it slows down okay. So when we talk about left and right movement, it's not the best. Okay, up and down motion is okay with the 2 atmosphere thrusters on there, but like I was saying, what we can do is just if we're on a planet like Mars, forward thrust, turn off the thrusters, and free fly forward with our atmospheric thrust like that. And if we need to stop, we'll just turn it on. So that could still work out decent. So that's not a bad idea when it comes to having the hydrogen, keeping it hydrogen, and just leave a little bit of this to be atmospheric. This thing flies actually pretty well. So not too concerned about that. But just me messing around just did lose 4% of hydrogen. So that is slightly concerning. And that was a bit of a hard drop. Okay. Let's turn all that off for now. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. But yes, we definitely could use more use of the hydrogen if we're not in space. No, the atmospheric, we're not in space. So if we adopt the idea of evolving it to something like this, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem. I think if we hung it up like that, we could do it back here potentially. I don't know. Let's see. How would that look like? So if we brought it up, we bring it up from the middle like so. So something like that is how I would do it. My jetpack's low. All right. And I want it to kind of connect where it is connecting to, so it hangs down from there. So actually, we can get rid of this one for now. Oop. That's fine. Do we have the space to do it right here? We could do a measly one right there. No, I was kidding. We'll put a big one right there. And it's not very aerodynamic, but it could work. So it just kind of hangs like that. I wish we had uneven spacing across. Then it would be a little bit better. This looks okay, but not exactly what I was thinking. We could push it back closer by 1 instead of having it closer that way. Let me check it from the rear. Okay, so that looks... It looks a little out of place, to be honest, but that's fine. We want it to be... Let me just take this apart. I think we want it to be right over here, just by 1. But then again, if we just did it that way, it doesn't look like it's hanging off the grid a bit. So it'll be like that. Actually, no, that's not bad. That is definitely doable. So it can be like that, if anything. And we could use a different block. We could use this instead to kind of connect it. But before we go too crazy with this. All right, so let's disconnect this piece and add this. So we could do it that way if we really want it. Keep it this way. So same thing we could do from here. And it doesn't have to be aerodynamic because it's Space Engineers. There's no aerodynamic piece to it right this moment. I mean, you add a mod, but I don't have that mod. So let's just say this will be fine. All right, so that, I mean, kind of looks weird, but it does give it a little bit more definition. It did look a little bit better when it was out just one more block, to be honest. This is a little bit too close for comfort. So maybe we do kind of stick it out by 1. We're just gonna stick it out from that piece down there, so it's not as high as before, which I think the height was making it kind of thrown off. But if we throw it a little lower, like so, yep, that works a little bit better. That works much better, actually. So it could be like that. All right, so that is that. Not too bad. Not the best looking thing in the world either, but that does give it a little bit of a unique look to it, I guess. Yeah, it kind of does. And if we want to go the route of adding the atmosphere thruster, all the large ones again, we definitely can kind of go the route of adding one right here, right back here to match up with it. And we could do one even up here. Oop, out of hydrogen. So we definitely could put one in the vehicle thing here. Kind of like that. in the back here, just to give it the forward thrusting that it needs. And backward thrusting, we could add it on the top as well. It wouldn't be that bad. It's just the side thrusting, that's where it gets a little bit on the tricky side. But I kind of don't want to add more thrusters over there. I don't mind adding more of a similar thruster in the front here, just to kind of match it up a bit. But we don't have... It's not going to be equal, because we can't make it exactly right here, because the battery's in the way now. So it's a start of a decent build here. Do we really want to add more thrusters? That's pretty much the question. If we do, most of it's going to probably stick up from the top. Or we can use small ones too. That works as well. It's just, it will just utilize a little bit more battery than we would want. So basically, since we have the extra space now, we could put a bunch of them right over here to go forward. So that's not a bad idea, but not the best idea either. So, I mean, as a placeholder, yes, we can do one there, one here, one here. And just kind of have it staggered for whatever reasons. Like that. And that's our forward thrust. 6 of them, is that enough power to go push us forward? I would think so. Especially when there's nothing in there. But when it becomes heavy, then we can utilize the hydrogen in that case. And then, of course, for like forward thrust or backward thrust, I keep getting them mixed up, but we could do the same thing, right? So we could add one up here and up here, or a few down here if we really wanted to. I think we could add, yeah, we could add like one down here without causing any issues and getting anything toasted. And we could add a few right here if we really need to as well, or even potentially on this thing. Yeah, so even something like this wouldn't be that bad as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 right there, and we could do 5, 6 total, which is pretty much what we have going forwards. So going backwards and forwards, we have 6 total, which I think will work out okay. We should actually go check out the store really quickly, and it's actually an opportune time to do that because we are thirsty for water. So let's get inside, get some grub and juice, or what we're really doing is just taking a tofu soup. Get that situated, buy some more iron ingots so we can craft some more things. Cheaper now for the iron ingots, so I'm gonna buy all that as well. And of course uranium. Everything else we have more than enough of for now, so we're not gonna buy that. So looks like the hydrogen, we can buy more hydrogen now, so let's just buy all that as well. So that's about close to 1 million worth of it. Not a lot, that's insane, but okay, should be good. And now our tank 3, yeah, only 1 million. Not a lot at all. So oxygen tanks are here, which we have a decent amount, so that's not that bad. We have a farm going for oxygen, so that's not even terrible. Okay, so that's good. All right, let's head back out into our build process. I was actually thinking we could make something similar in terms of a piston for a quick ride to the eco base. We could do that right over here and hop in. Should we do that? Probably not. I mean, it'd be easier just to throw a drone system and kind of put the automations on there. But it'll be interesting to do a piston ride as well. Maybe a thought down the line. Okay, so once we design this out on the bottom, actually we could put the thrusters down here. Yeah, I think we could. That would probably be the better bet, actually. At least the small ones. We still need some side thrusting as well, so... And to even it out, we need probably 6 on each side. Because we have 3 forward, 3 backwards. on each side, so 6 each. Side thrusting, we need probably 6 each as well. And side thrusting, it's a bit difficult to add, but yeah, once again, if we're designing this out, I feel like we could add thrusters down here. It's not going to be too bad. It shouldn't be too bad. In terms of atmospheric thrusting, we could also throw them right here. There's a potential space right there for now, or even up top right here. So we could do that. Let's just add them for now. This is just pretty much part 1 of building this hydrogen ship. That's going to get us this space. So part 2 is going to be the shell of the ship, which should make it look a little bit better. So this is pretty much building inside out, I guess, in a way. So from skeleton build to full clothed build. No, from a naked build to a fully clothed build, I guess you can say. There's definitely some things here that we can rework out or redo to make it look a little bit better. And I think that's when we start adding on the shell, is when we're going to be able to notice what's the biggest problems or the biggest pain points. And then we will address it from there. That is done. We have all the specific thrusting power that we need. Forward, backwards, side thrust, upwards we have, downwards we don't have. Do we want to keep it like that? We can. I think that adds to the design a little bit. Maybe. If not, we'll drop it down as we had it before, right down in front, if we can. Well, this seems to be a problem now too. Maybe we use small ones, because we still can use the small thrusting as well. Anyways, let's see kind of how this all works out right this moment. So let's just do, let's keep the hydrogen thrust off. Let's unlock this guy. And there we go. So upward thrust, yeah, we're not fully extended. We're perfectly fine. And actually, if we had vector thrusting, that would be a little bit more ideal. So we could just use maybe 3 to 4 large thrusters that spins around. Like this one could definitely spin around to go forward and backwards and upwards, and then one to go spin probably on the bottom somewhere where we could do thrusting sideways. So maybe we look into that for the atmospheric thruster, because well, I haven't tested out any of the newer vector thrusting, but the old vector thrust didn't really work out in non-gravity fields. So in space, it was terrible. So if I continue to use that script, then yes, that works fine. But I think there's a new script that's out there that's been updated that works just as well, but it's a little bit more complicated to use. So I'm going to have to look into that as well later down the line. But right now, this skeletal ship actually flies pretty good. A bit hard to slow down. That's not that bad. So if we were to fly back to our old respawn ship, getting to 100 meters per second is taking a bit of time, but it's not bad. Although this ship is, I think, yeah, it's empty. And slowing down is not that bad. But once we're filled up, it's going to be a little bit harder to maneuver, I would think. But it's just one large cargo container, so it's not that bad. But I'm pretty sure if I did add in a whole bunch of steel plates in this one large cargo container, yeah, maneuvering forward and backwards would probably be hard. But upward thrust, I think we should be fine. And we're not overextending the battery by doing all the thrusts. So that's not that bad as well. And if we need to stop at a dime, hydrogen. So definitely able to get to space like this. So this ship is on its barest point, which is just naked for now. We will get it dressed up in the next one, because it's always fun to walk through the build with you guys. So yeah, building this is about an hour and a half of putting it together, welding it, and talking through it. We definitely need to design it a little bit better because of the bottom piece. Not a big fan of it, which is a little extended now because I was afraid that I was going to break it. But this connector is actually pretty hard to break because I smacked it pretty hard before and nothing happened. So I probably will bring it back up just one But let's just see how it goes once I start designing it out, because we could do things like, just potentially, we could have it kind of like that. And then also throw in thrusters and stuff to kind of design it out some more. So that's not a terrible thing to have right here. There, that's kind of an example. Like now, since we did that, we can put the atmosphere thrusters right down here to make it decent, or put some lights and everything like that. So once we start building out the shell, we're gonna have more opportunities to add more things and hide more things in that case. But this was just the prototype of the hydrogen ship that we're gonna use to go into space, and at its pretty much naked core of a ship. And so far, not too bad. So let's call it for today. Part 2 of building this hydrogen ship will be putting together the shell. So hope you guys enjoy the core build of the hydrogen ship. And if you did enjoy this build out, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.